owns July, and one of the first out for Defiance. Races 3 off the left-hand side of your picture, yellow sleeves and cap. Eminence is right there in the early stages. Here goes Norfolk, Realm Off and Paramount. The red sleeves and cap is prominent shortly after the start. Then Queen's Console, Bella Bianca being niggled at. Flying Duels right there.
And Illustrador, the crowd goes berserk. It's like being at a final of a Rugby World Cup, you know, especially when we win it.
Classic flag has come over from 18. Coming back, Alpica, classic flag, it's closed.
Tomby's flying from nowhere. Gray's in flying. Gray's in, swoops into the lead, the last 150.
But bold Silvano, a wing on every hoof. Igugu.
Pomodoro. Last 100. Tower King, Puntarina.
The conglomerate sweeps into the lead. Marinaresco. Do it again in front, and it's do it again. Do it again. He's coming at Rainbow Bridge. He's a born leader, and he will do it again. Bulgarian Rainbow Bridge got the green light. And down the inside, here's Cousin Casey flying. Cousin Casey on the inside, Oriental Charm. Oriental Charm from Cousin Casey. Royal Victory's right there. And between runners, Flagman. See it again, had to be eased at a vital stage. But it's going to be number 11, Oriental Charm. J.P. van der Merwe and
1964 was the first time that I can recall our family gathering around the radio and listening to the race. When you think back over 128 years of the running of the Durban July, it started out over 1,600 meters, and you think of the horseflesh that has walked through this parade ring, you know, from the incredible Sea Cottage all the way to latter year winners. The people who have stood around here, the legendary names of Laurie and Jean Jaffe, the Oppenheimers, Graham Beck, to name but a few. There's so many that I could go through.
In the centre, King Willow, and right the outside comes Sea Cottage. Down the run in is Johnny Fye. Johnny Fye on Sea Cottage and King Willow. Johnny Fye, Sea Cottage and King Willow. And there he comes on the outer. That's Jackson putting up the running footage in. Is Johnny Fye from Sea Cottage. Johnny Fye on the inside from Sea Cottage. Johnny Fye on Sea Cottage. And the swimming place to get the front. I give it to. I think Johnny Fye might just reveal.
The anticipation not only of the Hollywoodbets Durban July, but of champion season in itself, in a racing mad province. I'm not sure July fever would be the same anywhere else in the country. We are so blessed in this part of the world to have passionate racing fans, but not just passionate racing fans who are very knowledgeable. They know their form, they know their breeding, they know the horses.
You know, at one stage racing had the monopoly. We were the only thing going, and then sports came in, and then casinos came in.
We were right in the middle of COVID. Vodacom had signaled their interest that they were unlikely to renew. Really tough times. I mean, we closed down for 3 months, then we were behind closed doors. We had 2 Hollywoodbets Durban Julys with no people here, literally only those people that were needed to stage the race meeting.
Yeah, when you look at the warning signs, obviously just from a financial value, you know, the 50 plus million that's being lost a year just isn't sustainable. I mean, obviously there's still the proceeds that were left over from the sale of Clarewood, and you know, there's, you know, being able to shut down Ashburton, or at least Cotton Ballett, and save resources that way. You know, again, in the long run, you're not going to be able to run a business and keep it going. When you look at the current status of racing in KZN and the way things were going, unfortunately, under the racing club and Gold Circle, it was looking very dire. You know, losing millions of rands every year. It was getting to a situation where it could not be sustainable.
And just when you thought it couldn't get any worse.
Oh my word.
Total, utter darkness.
I knew immediately, because I was studying the colours, they were going down to the start, and it all of a sudden went blank. I said, no, what's going on here?
And we all said, what is this? Is this like World War III or something starting here? And they say, oh, load shedding on July Day.
The first thing that came to mind, safety of horse and jockey, obviously.
You hear this like click, beep, pitch black. And I was already around by the sort of I think I was at the 2000. I was so upset because I thought, at least I can have a winner on the big day.
This wasn't just a power failure. It was a reflection of something deeper. A beloved sport standing at the edge. After years of financial hardship and declining infrastructure, the future of horse racing in the province was uncertain. And just when it felt like the final chapter was being written, a new player stepped in, not to change the story, but to help save it.
The time that Hollywoodbets came on board, fortunately Hollywoodbets had actually got involved the year before as a associate partner with the event, official betting partner, and so it was an obvious discussion to have when Vodacom signalled their intention not to continue with the title sponsorship, to chat to Hollywoodbets about the opportunity, and they jumped
In
it.
the Hollywoodbets Durban July Grade 1, they bounding for glory. But Sparkling Water makes her statement. Jet Dark second, safe passage, do it again, Cormetti Ding.
The energy, the investment, the ideas. The first thing I remember in my discussions with the marketing team was, they said, we don't want to take over, we want to amplify.
For us as Hollywood now taking it on, I think obviously having stepped into Cape racing and being able to jump in the hot seat there about 2.5 years ago, that was really a good experience for us to kind of get a taste of what it's like. I think when you've got a good team on the ground, obviously in the Western Cape, that's been led by Greg Bortz and his amazing racing team with Justin Vermaak and Alistair Cohn and all the other guys who are involved there. There's been huge differences that are already tangible, you can see them. And now to come home to our home province where, horse racing started here for us, it was what gave our business its beginning. It's really special. And, we've been involved in sponsorship since 2019 in terms of the race courses, because that was the first time we were actually allowed in as Hollywoodbets, as bookmakers, to get involved in horse racing sponsorship at that level. And yeah, it's just gone from strength to strength. And being able to now apply our business practices to KZN racing really bodes well for the future. And with the additional resources, the sky really is the limit.
On the 1st of May 2025, Hollywoodbets became more than just a sponsor. They became the stewards of South African horse racing survival.
And Hollywoodbets coming in, steadying the ship, getting people pointing in the same direction, fighting for one particular goal is exactly what KZN racing is needed. Racing's got its faithful followers in KZN. But what was the product that they were following? It was a fairly stale product with no real direction. But now all of a sudden, a new life has been swept through the corridors of KZN without the generosity of Mary Slack, Greg Bortz, and the Hollywood team through Owen Heffer. We wouldn't be here. We'd be racing for shekels. We'd be racing for R5. But here we are, sort of turning the key again and looking forward to a really, really bright future.
This used to be a really, really good game and a very profitable game. It hasn't stopped being a very good game. It's just the manner in which it's been managed, probably what led it to, losing market share with the betting companies, etc. But there's a new era now.
So lucky to have Hollywood come in and not only rescue racing, but rescue the academy. It's given everyone a second chance, breath of fresh air, a hope. I myself was looking and saying, it looks a bit sad. I'm going to end up in my twilight years in racing, and I don't want to leave until I can't train anymore.
Inkantini le renovatiwe apha ngaphakathi isiza kakhulu ama-groom njengoba phela sihlala kule ndawo. Le ndawo ibukeka indawo eyi-island engekho indawo eseduze. So kwenza ukuthi ke ama-groom abe safety ngoba yonke into ayenzayo ayenzela la ahlala khona, futhi ahlala wodwa kanti futhi akekho omunye umuntu wangaphandle ongena la ngaphakathi.
This isn't just about stakes and sponsorships. It's about love for the sport, love for the animal, love for the people who build it, race by race.
We've focused on infrastructure investment, so it's not purely just an aesthetics, we're really focusing on the core infrastructure of the stadium, where we're focusing on the track lighting, backup generator power, new sound for the stadium, toilet facilities, grandstand seating, the parade ring, and the roof replacement, which was in a very bad state. So, and then obviously panning out to the training facilities, we're also looking at core infrastructure investments there to upgrade the facilities within those training facilities.
One of the key upgrades to Hollywoodbets Gravel this year is the lights. So instead of the old halogen lights, all of them have been converted to LEDs. A couple of very key differences there. One, you don't have to wait for LEDs to cool down before you turn them back on. So even if we do have a trip, we can turn it back on immediately without much loss of time, within 15-20 seconds, which is a massive change to the 20 to 25 minutes that it took for the halogens to cool down and turn back on. Added to that, they draw less power. And so the Hollywoodbets team has installed a generator farm, which now can carry the load of all the lights at Hollywoodbets Gravel.
Going back to yesteryear when we used to call, it used to be darker and that, and with horses with similar colours for a commentator, we often had to phone the stops to put a different cap on or just try and get some equipment change that we could see and find out. But watching that race meeting the other night, I almost didn't call the first race. It was absolutely amazing. When those lights switched on, the colours became clearer. It just seemed like a whole new world out there. It was totally awesome, breathtaking.
The poly was in a really bad state. We were at the stage where no one wanted to race on the poly, and I think that was a reality. It was probably between 5 to 8 years past its lifespan. And we opted for a rejuvenation, and that rejuvenation allows us between 2 to 3 years. And ultimately, we've had such a positive response from the racing community. The kickback is minimal. Jockeys are actually wanting to ride on there, and that's just, it's incredible news from us, because we've put our heads down for the last 4 or 5 months, day and night, 7 days a week to make it happen.
Well, that polytrack has made a huge difference, and funny enough, I don't ride, but I stand in the parade ring early on, and obviously giving instruction and talking to jockeys. At that time, we always felt that we had to be on the speed because the track was biased. It was a biased track. So that means the track wasn't as good. And with Hollywood coming aboard and doing the polytrack, I mean, that track is so fair. I mean, horses can win from the front, from the middle, from the back. And those are big, important things for racing, not just for Hollywood, for punters. Punters now can back horses that can come from behind, middle. In the past, it was a little bit, if you were a bit sharper punter, because the horses can only win from the front. So now it actually makes it a fair game for everybody, and even better for the punters.
Stadiums have to adjust. You can't be one-dimensional anymore. Coming off the experience of Kenilworth in the Cape, where it was predominantly horse racing, we've now completely changed that into a multi-use sporting facility, and I think that's where we want to be with Gravel, is that it's not just horse racing. There's various events, there's music shows, there's and the facilities that we're doing now allows us to undertake those different types of events. We looked at the pavilion, the gazebo in the middle of the parade ring, and making that, bringing it up to sort of a new international standard. And we've got an exciting new welcomes drink area, an interview and a studio space, and the shape of the parade ring, gazebo or pavilion, if you look from the top, is actually in the shape of a racetrack.
Everybody wants to be seen in that ring because it's made for that number one, so you have to work twice as hard to get to that ring now, so it was a great change. And
then we brought in a brand new LED screen, and it's a massive 3 times size of the old screen. We have undertaken new fencing, new paving, new landscaping, and also new entrance arch.
Here at Hollywoodbets Gravel, to actually be here present on site while so much is changing between the time that you leave the race course on a day and the morning you arrive the next morning, in the 12 hours that have gone between. And I think back to when I arrived at the end of March, and now we're in the middle of May, and it's just quite incredible. This is no longer just a race course. This place, Hollywoodbets Gravel, is being transformed into a world-class stadium.
This sport is more than turf and trophies. It's also built on voices once unheard, on hands that have groomed greatness for generations.
Ukuba khona kwa Hollywood la kunendima enkulu ekuyidlalile ikakhulukazi empilweni zethu njengamagroom, ngoba uHollywood njengoba involve kulezi zinto zomjaho usponsorisha ngayo yonke into, iziteki zemjaho ngamahashi futhi okusivulela amathuba emisebenzi.
I had to start almost as a groom, and that's when I knew how easy we have it as jockeys. I had to take out the horse at 5, bring it to the track, let other jockey do work on it, and I have to take him back, groom him, get another one, and the whole day until around about 4, and then I noticed that these are the guys that we need to always acknowledge, because I've been there and it's tough.
Sekujabulela ukubona ojockey bebala lethu abamnyama bekwazi ukuthi bakwazi ukuwina imijako emikhulu nokuthi bande njengamanje. Siyabona ukuthi isport lesi sawamahashi siyaqala siyashintsha kancane, sesifaka wonke umuntu, and usuyabona ukuthi manje sekukhona uthando kubantu abaningi abancane ukuthi bawagibela amahashi, sebeyafisa ukwazi ngoba into kade bengayinaki. Mhlawumbe njenganami nje ngihlala hayi kude kakhulu eSummerfield, kodwa nami into kade ngicishe ngingayazi, kodwa ekutheni uSimanga wine i-Durban July baqala abantu baba khona baba nayo intshisekelo, kwakubonakala nomuzi bekhula nje basifike noKabela sebephinde bayiwina nabo, intshisekelo iyanda. I'm sure ukuthi noma ungathi uyobheka manje eJockey Academy uzobona ukuthi baningi.
Having a lot of obviously a jockey of color, you know, I think the academy has done very well. Where I thought with my year it was the end, but I think the years after that they started picking up, where you got your riders like Slengwa, you got your riders like Humbuto, and I have been asked a couple of questions by the youngsters, and I have tried my best to guide at the best level I can.
Tell us about it.
I'm a young and upcoming jockey, and obviously I still have a lot to learn, and I keep improving with more experience and more riding. But it's winning the Durban July put me in a position where trainers and owners can definitely trust me going into a big race, knowing that they have a jockey that will do their best and not panic on a big horse, and with good judgment. It has definitely opened up more opportunities for me, and it's kept me going since then.
But certainly in the jockeys ranks, you know, Rachel is definitely flying the ladies' flag there, and you know, we've got a few female apprentices in the academy, and it's really good to see, and hopefully they can hold their own. I mean, Rachel has, so let's hope for the future there are a few more ladies coming through.
Being called onto the podium, you can hear the noise from the crowd and the music, and suddenly your chest gets a bit tight and you think, this is it, I'm here. And as you walk up those stairs and you walk into the parade ring, they call out your name, and you get this like sort of almost out of body, your skin actually tingles. You walk and you stand on the podium next to some of the best jockeys in the country. I mean, we had jockeys this last year from the UK, Dan Muscat, and you stand next to them and you think, wow, you know, out of the top 20 people in the country, I'm standing here with them.
Fine Admiral Lapayana, Bena wife water Banguline, Agaspana Ban, Fine Admiral wife water King Papa.
Ongijabulisa kakhulu nje ukuthi soba abantu bokuqala sinosanele ukuthi senze lento iyenzeke. Ukubuka nje mhlambe ukuthi last year usanele webizile iDurban July kwenza ukuthi abantu abaningi abamnyama noma abantu abaningi abakuleli bala lethu beyibuke ngenye iso lento yeHollywoodbets Durban July. Kulonyaka nje ukukhuluma ngokuthi sizoba kuyona ipanel discussion izokwenza abantu abaningi abamnyama ukuthi bazi ukuthi kwi horse racing ziningi izinto ongazenza ngaphandle nje kokuthi uzobukela amahashi.
Kuyithuba elihle kakhulu kuthina nathi ukuthi sitshengise esinakho nanokuthi sikhuthaze umuntu okhona lapha ekhaya uhleli ngabe uselokishini ngabe semakhaya ngabe uhleli kuphi kodwa akwazi ukubona kube khona nethemba lokuthi noma ngabe kuthiwa usukaphi ungafika emafini akuchaza ukuthi ukusuka kule background okuyona ukuthi umele brand okuyona awukwazi ukufinyelela kwezinye izinto ngoba nathi sezinye sezibonelo sabafana nje umfana uzalelwe emakhaya umuntu uzalelwe emakhaya sakhula nathi siyakwazi ukufinyelela endaweni ukuthi singabukwa izwe lonke.
This sport is more than turf and trophies. It's also built on voices once unheard, on hands that have groomed greatness for generations.
If you look at not just KZN but South Africa, there's approximately 60,000 jobs that rely directly or indirectly through the sport of horse racing. Whether it's stakeholders that are directly involved, be they trainers, breeders, grooms, jockeys, work riders, you know, the veterinarians, the farriers. Then you look at all the people who are indirectly involved. I mean, the betting companies, the feed companies, you know, the list really does go on. And then, of course, when you look at all the dependents, you know, I mean, you're looking way over 700,000-800,000 people that rely on the sport of racing to put food on the table.
Isport samahasha siqasha abantu abaningi. Siqashe abantu abayizinkulungwane eziningi kakhulu. Uma ngathi thi umjaho yawo, futhi bonke labo bantu ngeke basakwazi ukubeka isinkwe etafuleni.
40 grooms, and I've got my assistant trainers, I've got my head lads too. They've all got families. And you know, we could average 5 people in a household. So very much dependent on this racing industry.
In our yard alone, and I mean, we one of many in South Africa, you know, we would have close to 75 employees. So, you know, it's a big operation, and obviously it's a vital cog in the wheel for us and the industry we're in. So I think it's definitely, the whole industry as a whole is a massive role player in the economy.
We have staff members that have worked for my family for 30 years, 20 years, and then we have also a very young group of guys. I've got my team with me in KwaZulu-Natal are guys that started with me in Cape Town 9 years ago, and we've built them up from not really knowing much to being head staff here and running the show.
From an economical impact, we also have a huge betting contingent that loves betting on racing. You know, so you know, there's a lot of turnover being done in the sport. There's a lot of economical impact that it has, and yeah, it's one of those things when you look at what it requires and what it needs to survive. You know, there's an enormous amount of dependence that require the sport to go on.
This isn't about restoring the past. It's about building a new future, a new generation.
If we had to look 5 years from now and where we'd want it to be, I think what we would want to change is racing from being a complete and utter betting product to one that is filled with experience. One that when you go to the race course or when you log on to watch it online or when you you know, turn on your phone to strike a bet, the whole customer journey, the whole viewership, the whole fan audience, everything has got to be at a level that is the likes of your Premier Leagues and your Springbok rugbies and you know your forms of entertainment that people appreciate and want to be at and they want to be seen at, and they leave saying that I want to go to Friday night racing. I want to go to not just the July, but I want to go to the WSB Mets in Cape Town. I want to go to the Betway Summer Cup, because it's not just the impact now on KZN Western Cape racing, it's South African racing as a whole. And the fact that we've been able to work with the other operators, we've started showing that we can put our egos aside, you know, and that's the thing with Hollywoodbets. You know, we've got a saying, we're always going to weed our own garden. You know, we can only worry about what we can control and what we can do. And we're going to keep our head down and focus on the positives.
With racing, I just hope that obviously it grows, it continues to grow, and we feel, obviously with jockeys at most, we feel like we need more opportunities. I mean, the game is not big enough for all of us at the moment. But I'm fortunate enough that I'm part of the group that I'll say I'm making a living and I'm successful in my career. But obviously more improvement is more the merrier. And I'm just hoping that racing continues to grow and we just continue working together and making it a sport of kings.
The new era, I see a Pambili, as you say, or Onda Ekakanyeni, so I'm practicing all of that. See the light or go with the light, look at the new era. It's going to be fantastic. Already there's a new energy. I see a lot of the staff.
The future is bright for the new projects coming up after our phase 1 investment. More infrastructure investment projects.
There's a lot more good people out there that want to see us succeed than see us fail. And I just think in 5 years' time, it's not just going to be small changes, it's going to be massive and hopefully a sustainable one.
It's up to us to build it and to grow it again. And negativity is not going to do that.
Biggest wish for South African racing going forward is to be unified, to fight the same battles, to point in the same direction. I think making good strides towards that. South African racing product is as good as any in the world. We've seen on an international stage that we do have the best of the best. The expertise are here. And if we can get it right, then literally South African racing is the world's oyster.
If everything fails, if we find ourselves in 5 years' time and horse racing is no better off than where we started, then fine, we'll take that. But I can promise you, we're going to give it everything.